Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Good. Good morning, Brett. Good morning, Marco. Ligo, Mantis, Christopher, Luca. What's going on? ICT Aiden. You can hear me? Yep, cool. All right. Let me switch over to the actual charts here and let me know if you can see it. So I just want to make sure you can see it. It's clear. It seems like I have poor connection, but hopefully it's not translating over to you guys. What the? Oh, here we go. I gotta get my Nightbot running up. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm gonna wait. If you can like the video, I appreciate it. Just get the likes up on this video. It's gonna be the last day of the giveaway with Myfundedfutures. Just so you guys are aware, it's gonna be towards the end of the video or stream. I'll dig into the charts here in a second, so just be patient with me. Top chatter I get to see here on my Nightbot, Ict-Aiden. That is you. Awesome. Yeah, if you can like the video, I'd appreciate it. We're only at 30 likes, so it's the only thing I asked for. Loud and clear. Jack Shackleford, hope everything went well with the giveaway. Hopefully you're able to access the account and everything's good. I didn't hear back from the other winner either, so hopefully it just went through and you're able to access it. Because I'm not sure after I give all the details what happens on your end. So I'd like to know. Mods, that's pretty funny. ICT kind of explains some of it, like what just happened. There's no news event drivers, but we had this wild spike. Yeah, there's no news event driver, so I mean it was more or less time, is what ICT was stating to us today. Is a no matter what, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, time is a relevant factor. So look at when price spiked up. I mean that was exactly at 8:30. So I'm gonna go out to the higher time frames here and give you a perspective on what I'm looking at. The only thing I can work with today is a possible TGIF Friday scenario where we retrace back into the weekly range by 20 to 30%. So that's a typical ICT profile for Fridays if the weekly expansion has lined up for it. So this week we've expanded basically clearly on one side. I like TGIF Friday profiles when the weekly expansion has been clearly one-sided, and then we can see some type of clear retracement back into the range by 20 to 30%. So if you look at this week, what you're going to do is take from the low of the week to what the high is so far, which was here today, and you're going to mark out the 20 to 30%. So if you do this, 20 on your fib, 0.3. So 0.2 and 0.3. So these two levels is what price should, if you can short into those areas, that's what you should be identifying and looking at, right? So 20 to 30% back into the weekly range. I'm not going to have that on my chart, but I'm aware that price can retrace back into these levels. So does that make sense? What at least I'm anticipating for now, the only thing I can really work with. Daily chart, we've gotten above buy-side liquidity. We took out yesterday's high today already, so we took out buy-side liquidity there. Buy stops have been ran. It would be interesting to see a bearish closure on today, but very well could happen. 4-hour time frame, took out buy-side liquidity here. Again, buy side has been ran. So I'm curious to see, do we get a drop lower today to line up with that 20 to 30% of the weekly range? And what I want to do real quick is have this lined up on here, just so I know where the levels are at, where we should be anticipating price. So that was the entire weekly range. So ideally, if I can get into 30%, that would be cooking with some oil, cooking with some gas. That would be nice. We'll see. We very well could, on the flip side, very well just keep expanding, but I don't know if I really see that today. So looking at this level in here and underneath that, so on a 4-hour, at least that inefficiency that kind of worked within overnight and yesterday. Make note, yeah, ES one above its buy side liquidity pool on the weekly and on the daily as well. So it's pretty nice to see. If you guys can like the video, I'd appreciate it. Good morning, Harris. Hope you're doing well. Slink Games, you're all right. I appreciate the enthusiasm to be here on time. Let's look at the 1-hour time frame. Again, we're just getting into the open. So regardless of the movement, we know the time that we're stalking, which is the silver bullet. So I don't worry, I don't fear coming into the open and trying to reprice. Ideally today, we're going to see if we can short. Ideally, that's what I'm going to be looking at. As I mentioned before, that's due to the TGIF weekly profile, right? The market's in sync. To be honest with you, I haven't checked dollar index yet on what it's been doing since this huge release. Which it wasn't any news event drivers, it was just a sudden displacement higher or lower. Sorry, I was reading the text. I got you, Harrison. So we've had multiple drives above buy-side liquidity. So anytime you've seen buy-side being ran continuously, it's a pretty good sign that you could expect some type of reversal, especially paired with what I just mentioned earlier, TGIF weekly profile. Coming into a Friday, we've been expanding higher all week. So 1, 2, 3 times above buy-side. And now you're seeing it drop lower. The question is, where are you going to target? Where is price potentially trying to draw into? As you can see here today on that, wasn't even a release, it was just simply time. I know there's CAD news, but that doesn't affect this market. So there's sell side resting down here from overnight. That kind of lines up with basically 20 to 30% of the weekly range, right? Let's dig down into like a 5-minute time frame. I think if we really push lower today, there's a lot of sell side just kind of in this general area here from yesterday. Depends how much price really wants to give today. But in there would be an area for me to look for. The fact that we've taken out buy side multiple times, and especially on this run up earlier today, and then this sudden drop lower, I really wouldn't be a fan of looking for longs. So that's really not on my agenda today. Let me take a look here at the RTH gap, and I'll pop over to dollar index real quick. Again, if you guys can like the video, those who are just tuning in. So it's this entire range, right? I've mentioned this before with RTH gaps. You can utilize it in a few ways, or mark it out in a few ways, but in its entirety, this is the entire range of the RTH gap. This. There's a liquidity void that typically forms within the first minute because we open and then we close here. So then there's also a liquidity void from here to here, right? So you can mark out both scenarios. You can mark out both. I can utilize both. For the most part, I'm going to mark out the entire RTH gap, and I'm going to see, let's see where it's trading at. I'm going to make sure that it is lined up perfectly. So today, if I have a bearish bias, how do I utilize the RTH gap? Well, I would be looking to utilize it in a way where we can use it as a draw on liquidity, completely fill it in, or just maybe fill in the 50 to 75% of it. I don't need the entire thing to be filled, but if I'm trying to utilize it with my bias, if I'm going short today, or at least that's the initial bias, then I would utilize that as a draw on liquidity, right? If there's a gap, then I'm looking to target it to fill it in. So if I am to go short today, and if this is still open, then I'm going to utilize that to fill it. If I was long today, then I would be utilizing this as basically a place where you can see we're retracing it at 50%, utilize that as support to move higher. But I mean, that very well could happen, but I don't see a long bias today. So I'm not utilizing it in the aspect of a long position, but it very well could. So remember that. Let me dig down into a 1 minute here. You can see from that, just that wild volatility spike in volume that came into the market at basically 8:30. Get above buy side liquidity, drop lower, fair value gap here, and we sell off. But if it's not within your time, it's not within your rules. I mean, you shouldn't have any emotions or feelings about it. If you guys are wondering, I'm not going to be looking at really the chat today too much, to be honest with you. Yesterday, semi just irritated me, to be honest with you. It's nothing, not a lot of you in particular. I just think live streaming at one point or another, I think this week has drained me. Just there's a lot of ungratefulness and a lot of weird comments yesterday. I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to look at the chat as much anymore. But as far as currently what price is doing, I mean, I don't have a clear one-sided direction. Dollar index, let's take a look at that. I mentioned this yesterday in the live daily log. Dollar index has just been providing no clarity. I mean, it's really hasn't until that thing opens up and wants to move in a clearly one-sided direction. It's going to make things a lot easier for me to read NQ, because when we're sitting at all-time highs on NQ, ES, YM, it's harder for me to really predict, all right, are we going to continue higher? Are we going to have some type of reversal? And what will help me with that is having dollar index move on a clearly one-sided, because if I can see that, then I can start to line some things up. If dollar index is really moving higher, then I can look at NQ and be like, all right, it should ideally have a movement lower, and vice versa. But dollar index is providing no clarity to me, so I don't hold a bias on dollar. This is a new day opening gap here. As I mentioned before, we've ran out buy side multiple times, so I wouldn't be surprised if we revisit the sell side, resting basically down here from overnight. But I guess the only contradiction to all this is I'm not trying to call an overall top on it, but at one point or another there will be a top that is formed in the market. So is it today? Do we see a somewhat outright reversal after taking buy side all-time highs? Very well could be. But more or less waiting for the silver bullet. Get some music going. Yeah, yesterday I mentioned in the day log the yields and bonds and basically the coupledness between a lot of them right now. And if you haven't noticed, the last 2 or 3 weeks have been a little bit more difficult to read and analyze and trade. I mean, yesterday was, to me, it wasn't hard to read. It was hard to participate, right? I guess there's a difference. With YM being completely decoupled away from ES and NQ, dollar index decoupled, bonds, yields. I hope yesterday was a very good learning lesson for those. Some may have looked at it and breezed over it, but to me, I think it was a really good day, man. It really was. Small fair value gap here. New day opening gap, resting down here. That may be the draw on liquidity. As I mentioned, if price gets really, should I say, animated, these lows would be probably a draw on liquidity for me. I just see a lot of trend line phantom, especially yesterday. I saw it building up, and then yesterday we stabbed down again, created relative equal lows. So these lows in here would be kind of the first draw on liquidity. And what's the premise? Why are you looking for that? Well, TGIF, it's kind of the main focus of today. We've taken buy side multiple times already. So is there a reason for price to run up higher again? Not my particular view. Lately, red has just not been my color. Let me change this to something. Let's purple look. Purple looks better. Buy stops ran here. There's really no SMT between the three in terms of like that high. They all had a significant higher spike. But they're all trading off lower, ES, YM, and Q. It's a good sign. Much like yesterday, if you pay attention, what creates a lower probability condition? When they're not trading in sync with each other. When they're all doing something different, it's a red flag. And I got a lot of questions on that yesterday. It was like, you know, there was an entry pattern. It's like, well, that's part of the rule set, is if you have a decoupled market, regardless if there's an entry pattern, you still disregard it. It's part of your rules. At least for me, so. Golden. Yeah, I mean, it happens, man. As I discussed in the day log, I mean, I could see very well how you could chop yourself up. I mean, I've done that so many times in those conditions because it's so easy to, because it seems like the market's trying to gravitate one way or the other. You switch from one bias to another, and before you know it, 30 minutes later, your account's blown. And people that either get lucky in those conditions or they overlook those type of conditions and what somebody's trying to teach them, they're going to learn the hard way eventually. But I was pressing so hard for a lot of you to understand that, because I've blown so many accounts in those conditions, it's ridiculous. And being like, I wish somebody would have told me that a year or 2 years ago. It's like, hey, dude, this is how you stay out of it. These are certain factors. These are the things you look for. Like, I would have been amazed. I've been like, holy shit, like, this is great. So If you guys are just tuning in, I'd appreciate it if you liked the video. Again, I'm not going to be looking at the chat too much today. I'm just going to be focusing on myself. So we've taken sell side underneath this low as well. Again, what's the time? What are we doing? Small discount inefficiency in here. Like I said, I'm not hard-lined on the bearish bias, but it's what I ideally would look for today. But can keep an open mind to the ideas if it wants to rally higher again. I mean, I'm not married to the bearish bias. That's what just letting time do the work for me, let it do the heavy lifting. Because I mean, we still have 15 minutes until the silver bullet. Things could change in 15 minutes where I could be like, all right, well, I don't no longer see shorts, and I just adjust. Because we're closing above this inefficiency down here after taking out sell side liquidity, right? So running out sell stops inside of a discount that's rallying higher. I mean, overall, we're still printing new highs and new higher lows. If you just look at basic market structure, still printing higher highs and higher lows. So you can't prematurely call a high just because of TGIF, just because of a weekly profile. I'm aware of it. I'm understanding if I see that pattern today, then I'm going to look for it. I think this will actually be a little bit better. Yeah, that looks nice. If you haven't noticed, I have pretty bad OCD when it comes to charts. My charts used to look a lot different even last year. I used to have a vertical line on. I used to draw all my things out in order. But it was a little too much, especially with educating. So, but I'm super OCD about my charts. They have to look a certain way. Boxes have to look a certain way. Color coordination. So we got above this. See if that's turned into an inversion. Busy here. So if we do gravitate higher, what would be kind of the target or buy side liquidity pool? I mean, some relatively equal highs sitting there. This is where remaining on like a higher time frame gives you a little bit better perspective. If you get on 1 minute, you're too zoomed in. So I mean, we're still in a bullish dealing range from that low all the way up to that high that was printed. Take away the 20 and 30. We simply just drop down basically into optimal trade entry, which is 62 and 71 inside of a discount. So you have to keep the framework of what the parent dealing range is. Took out internal sell side. Could displace a higher. Filled in 50%, a little bit more than 50% of that RTH gap. We're seeing a displacement higher, but it's a lot of back and forth in here this morning. So I'm going to show you something, but even this could be disrespected because we're still in an overall bullish order flow narrative. Narrative oversees everything else. So all of these down close candles are your bearish breaker. You have a high, a low, a higher high, then a lower low. So all of those will be a bearish breaker. If you go out to a higher time frame, it may confine itself into one. 15 minutes probably the best. So all of those down close candles would be your bearish breaker. And if we start to see a rejection away from that, that could give me some information. But you have to remember what's the narrative, what's the order flow in higher time frames. It is still bullish. We are still making new highs and new lows, higher lows. So if we're truly still bullish, it's going to run that over. That's how you're determining in any order flow, any time frame, what is valid and what is not valid. The narrative will oversee any PD rate you have in the way if it's not on side, if it's not in sync. So that's a 15-minute inefficiency. Just keep that in the back of your mind. 5-minute. I'm not going to highlight this. It's just too big of a range, but I'm keeping that in mind. So understand that that breaker is there, but I do see a higher inefficiency we're starting to move towards. So there's a small one in there and this inefficiency. So I just want to see how we react to it. Situation like this where coming into the silver bullet, I don't have a large deal of confidence on where we're really going to draw to today. Gun in my head, I would elect lower prices. But if I'm uncertain, I don't have to force myself into the market at my point of interest. Let's say we trade up into this, or even we're residing inside of the 15-minute. I can wait and see, do we get a displacement away from it? And if I can see a entry pattern on a 1-minute time frame to go short, then at least it's confirming to me. So if it did something like this, where we drop lower, then there's a small fair value gap on a 1-minute, then we drop lower. I could wait for something like that instead of executing inside of this area. Sure, I may not get the best overall entry. I may miss the entire move, but I'm electing to do that because I'm not fairly confident on one side just yet. If you're just tuning in, I appreciate it if you like the video. It means a lot. It's the last day of the giveaway, so we've given 2 accounts away. I was mistaken yesterday. Today is a 50K starter account, so I thought it was going to be a 50, 100, 150, but the team wanted to go with 3 50Ks. So, yeah, and it's still a giveaway, still a free account. But I was mistaken yesterday with that. So we're inside of the macro before the silver bullet. This week I've been not, after, what was that, Wednesday? Is that Wednesday? Yeah, after Wednesday, I've been very hesitant to push inside of this macro. So watch how we trade away from this 15-minute inefficiency with the breaker in here. My stream's health is excellent, so I'm not sure. Yeah, Roosta. So we drop down. Remember, what's the parent time frame? Constantly, I'm going through sessions. I'm constantly going back out to the higher time frame to remind myself of what is going on. It can be very easy to get zoomed in on this 1 minute and get stuck on here. So I'm just going to place my focus on the 15-minute for now and just see how we trade in and around that inefficiency there. If we get above it, we'll treat it as an inversion going into the silver bullet. Again, what's the first rule is time, waiting for time. I could have traded inside of this macro, but I'm electing not to. So from 950 to 1010, moving into the silver bullet, should expect some type of volume or speed to enter into the market. Not always, but it's something you can anticipate. May want to run for the relative equal highs there. Yeah. Let me know if you guys are still with me. I'm watching. Seems like Fridays for some reason. Fridays I get the worst connection. I'm not sure why that is. Turn off a couple things. So this is a pretty interesting run with look at how NQ is trading versus YM and ES. It's very interesting. It's again the coupled market. I mean, I wouldn't want to participate in this run on NQ. I mean, look at look at the way NQ is running and versus YM and ES. Yeah, this is wild. This is crazy manipulation, man. I mean, I can see the run. I could see where you could be a participant in it, but just look at ES and YM. It's crazy. ES6 sister. Mm. That's such a significant run on NQ. It's very, very odd. Yeah, I'm not too sure what's up with my internet today. I mean, I'm not gonna really give it too much energy if I the stream stops or it's lagging. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not gonna really deal with it. I apologize, but I don't have the energy for it today. To me, this screams seek and destroy. This screams this screams do not touch this. That's what this is telling me. I wouldn't really want to pick off a long in this, nor do I really even want to pick off a short. I mean, again, look at the profile of what just happened. What is that telling you? Unless you're not looking at that. What have we done? We've taken out buy side multiple times, dropped lower, took out sell side. So you're clearing both sides of the board. What is that screaming to you? That should be screaming to me, or to you, at least to me, it's screaming seek and destroy. It's screaming manipulation, beware. Don't do something stupid. Yeah, right, Tom. I mean, we traded up into that fair value gap here. But I don't want to do anything. I mean, this thing could very well just trade right back into this range. So from this low to this high, if we sit at EQ and we constantly refer back to it, that's a complete seek and destroy consolidational profile. If we drop back down into, even if we drop beneath 50%, and then you see it gravitate back to the 50%, I'm not going to be trading today. Again, the times where you can identify seek and destroy, consolidational, bad delivery, and price is when you should be sitting still doing nothing. If this thing decides to rip off higher, I mean, so be it. But I don't personally really see that happening. How is that manipulation? It just swept buy side. Well, as I just described, look at both sides of the range. What has it done? Yeah, Brett. It's funny to look at the chat and see like the sentiment, like even with you guys. Long, short, long, short. Right there, I'm just gaining sentiment from my own chat. Yeah, exactly, Tom. Is it going to trade higher? Is it going to trade lower? Should I long it? Should I short it? I mean, if I don't know for a clear distinctional fact, not a fact, but if I can't clearly see one side, why would I do anything? I don't see the point of doing so. Arista, I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. Whoever actually said that's actually a good point. It's marking out that wick in here, which is kind of identifying. Wicks will be like gaps, 50%, 25%, marking that out and seeing how it trades around it. Are we going higher or are we going lower? What should I do? Should I long this? Should I short it? Again, if conditions like this, if I can see both sides, if nothing's in sync, I'm not going to press into the price. Same thing as yesterday. Seems boring. Seems like a lot of discipline, a lot of rules, a lot of doing nothing. But I'm telling you, it's the number one way to protect yourself, protect your capital. I'd rather sit, like you said, Casper, on the sidelines and just observe. I'd rather watch others tear themselves apart and rip themselves apart inside of the arena while I sit quietly and watch that unfold. That's a much more powerful, profitable position. That 5 minute turned into an inversion. fair value gap there. I mean, I'm not trying to do anything. Yeah, Flatwood, I'm not saying that's not a good model or a good entry pattern, but if you're taking out both sides of liquidity in a decoupled market, I'm not going to be pushing that. I'm not looking at the chat. I mean, I've said that today already, man. I just glanced at it. It's like, I'm not going to be looking at it. I really don't want to turn off the chat. I think it's good to interact with some of you, but at times it's just like, it's just too much, man. There's a bullish SMT between ESYM and NQ. But I see this as a clear seek and destroy profile, possibly just sitting inside consolidation. I mean, this is what it looks like when I'm not interacting with chat, because I'm more or less silent. I'm just going to be, if I see something that is worthy of talking about and something I want to discuss, then I'm going to talk about it. But if there's nothing in price, I mean, this is what I'm doing by myself. I'm not talking, I'm not doing anything, I'm just observing price. So I've already said what I'm doing currently. I'm sitting still, I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to force a hand, I'm not going to force a bias upon this. There's no reason to do so. This is where trading to me is just, it is boring. You have to be able to have patience and wait and not want to constantly be in action, constantly be in a dopamine roller coaster of being inside of trades and pushing price. And I've done that. I've been there. There's no point in doing so. If something's not clearly one-sided, don't push it. If YM was trading off higher and it was in sync, it would make me at least have some confidence or some idea that we could gravitate higher. But it's not willing to join the party. So it's been decoupled away from it yesterday as well. ES is just middle of the range, really not doing much. Again, dollar index is providing no clarity. Justin, if you're in here, I'm not reading chat today, but if anything happens, anything in terms of negativity or spamming or whatever, just block the user, delete them. Again, why would I not be very pleased to be taking a long in here? I mean, look at where YM is trading. I can't describe that enough. If you have something that's so decoupled away from it, I don't care where price is trading, even if it had an entry pattern. Because there's a flip side of these rules where if I'm not trading in sync and I'm trading in a decoupled market, there's going to be a time when I do that and I hurt myself very badly. So I don't care that there's some type of entry pattern that could have went long. Things are, to me, are not aligned to do so, so I sit still and I don't do anything. So some of you, it may feel like, man, he's just waiting so much. He's missing out on so many entries. There's rules around this that, on the flip side, it would hurt yourself very badly if you pressed into a market like this. I mean, look at the way ES is trading. Look at the way YM's trading. It's like the same thing as yesterday. I'm not a fan of trying to press inside of a decoupled market, regardless of what I see, regardless if there's an entry pattern. For some reason my SMT is messed up. Well, I think I gotta do load new layout. I mean, the chart speaks for itself. Look at where YM's trading. Look at where NQ's trading. Look at where ES is trading. And it's not part of my rules or my model to trade within a market that is completely out of sync with each other. I'm not going to do it. Regardless of the entry patterns, regardless of where the drawn liquidity is, until I see them move into sync with each other, I'm not going to trade it. It's a different level of patience and maturity when you realize that and you see it. Even though we've gotten above this old SIBI, I'm not going to treat that as I mean, I can look at it as an inversion, but again, I'm not going to be treating that as an entry pattern. It's a wild market this week. The last 2 weeks it's been crazy. What have you seen me do personally? I've taken 2 trades so far this week. Both of them were losses, very minor losses, and to me that's a W, that's a win. If I'm able to protect my capital, which is the #1 thing you should be doing, then it's a win. You're protecting the most valuable thing, which is your mental capital and your actual capital. If you're able to do that, that's such a W, regardless of if you've taken some small losses. What's going on, Cody? Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you in here. I appreciate that, Will. Yes, I am looking at chat now. Golden, I don't know if you're still on, but have a good rest of your day. And you shouldn't feel any type of way about these moves unfolding in it's a coupled market. I don't feel any type of way about it. I don't feel as if I should have taken the trade or that I missed a trade or I missed my model or my entry. There's a huge difference between missing a trade that is within your model and your rules and the framework that you have set out for yourself. If everything else was trading off higher, if everything was for the most part in sync, I'd be comfortable with the long and I would have been upset that I didn't take a long. But the fact that things are decoupled, they're not moving in sync with each other. We've taken out both sides of the board. It seems pretty highly manipulated to me. I'm perfectly okay with not participating in some moves. That's fine with me. I think if you try to do that, you may look at a day like today or yesterday and be like, man, that, it could have been inside a price. And I mentioned this last night in the daily log. I would like to see somebody, not just in a year, but in a 5-year span. A lot of you think it's such a small time frame. If you were to try to operate inside of these conditions over a long period of time, when you're in a decoupled market, not clearly one-sided, very manipulated, I highly doubt you're going to be profitable over a 5-year span. I highly doubt that. You may look at today or yesterday and be like, man, look at this entry in here. I could have went long on this for value gap in the inversion. That would have been great. I highly doubt in a 5-year span you're going to be consistently able to do that inside of this type of profile. And that's the way I view it, and that's the way I don't trade it. Because I'm looking at the long-term vision. I'm not just looking at today and be like, man, let me just pass this challenge account so I can get rich and I can finally quit my job. It's like, no, that's such a wrong mindset. It's backwards. Exactly. I mean, if you listen to the daily logs, I mean, I spit a lot of gems on there because it's true. It's easy to go on social media and see that somebody took a long and then you feel guilty that you weren't participating in today. I don't feel any type of way about anybody else trading. I don't care. And you'll reach that point of security and comfortability and confidence within yourself and your own model and your rules because you trust it. You understand what works for you. You understand that over a long period of time, your model, your framework will work for you. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I don't care if somebody caught along today. It doesn't mean I'm bad. Doesn't mean that my model's broken or my framework's broken. It may mean they got even lucky. So again, don't look at other people. It's easy to say. It's a hard thing to do. You know, everybody says don't look at other people and don't look at other people's trades and what they do. But I mean, I'll catch myself even doing that. So you have to be wary and guard your mind and guard what you look at and view. It's easy. It's easy when even me, like, you don't think that I've taken 2 losses. Last week I took a loss. I took 1 trade last week. I've taken 2 trades on live this week, and both three of those trades so far have been losses. You don't think psychologically that I want to get on here and I want to make a trade so people can look at me and be like, oh, he's such a good trader. I mean, that definitely weighs on my psyche, but again, I'm more mature to know that that doesn't affect the market. I'm not going to be in here trying to impress any of you because I don't care. I know over a long period of time, who knows, next week I could have 1 or 2 trades that overseed all those losses. All this patience I just worked for was worth it because I was able to sit through all this garbage price action and I bang out 1 to 2 amazing trades that were aligned with everything I know that works, and I move back into sync with the market. I mean, again, I'm looking at my equity. I'm looking at the market in a long-term time frame, a span. I'm not looking at day to day. Most of you are just so sucked into the session, so sucked into each entry pattern that you just forget that, you know, you have an entire month, you have 6 months, a year of time. I mean, yeah, even ICT, if ICT hasn't taken anything and he's in a competition and he's talked all of this, well, I hate saying shit, but he's talked all of this against his competitors and he's not pressing in this market, he's not doing anything. I mean, what makes you think that you could be in here trying to do stuff? What makes you think that that's a valid option? And again, it may sound like I'm trying to talk down to you. I'm not trying to talk down to any of you. I'm expressing the idea that you should not feel any guilt. You should not feel any fear. It's logical not to do anything. So yeah, I'm just checking ICT's community tab. Yeah, it looks like he took a trade two hours ago. Which, yeah, he was probably anticipating that today would not be, and to be honest with you, I wonder if that's on micros. The reason he's trading ES is because ES NQ requires a lot more capital to trade. So even with it's $10,000 account, he can't be doing standard minis on it. So he's trading ES, where it looks like he's trading micro NQ to build up equity. That was that was over in here. That was before even that large spike. Again, I don't feel any type of way either about him. Like when you look at even his trades and the things that he does, the same thing I just mentioned, it's like I don't feel any type of way about it because once you mature and you grow into your own model and into your own rules, it's like I don't care even what my own mentor's doing because that shouldn't affect you. That shouldn't affect the way you feel about your model or the things that you do. And when you have patience, when you know that, okay, next week, the week after, if I was able, let's just say in a hypothetical world, let's say next week, the week after, I bang out 100 handles, then all of this patience was worth it. It was worth it to me to sit through this, not trade outside of my model or my rules. If price was in sync and not decoupled, then I would have been very electing to want to push longs today and be inside of this. So hopefully that's clear in what I'm viewing. Wolf, YM symbol is YM. If you want the actual March contract, is a YMH 2024. Why would I ignore the high of 830? It's buy side liquidity is resting above it. Why would I ignore it? Again, just so you have a view of wow, what's going on here. NQ's pressing higher, YM's making new lows, and ES is in the middle of the range. AK. That's interesting. I'll have to look at my code. Yeah, I mean, there's a 60% off, so just use that one if you're going to do. Full-time trader, yeah, I hope so too. It's really what I'd be waiting for, to be honest with you. I mean, the only thing I could really see is if ES started to, if YM started to get in sync and ES started to move higher, then I could trade the six sister approach, but am I in school? No, I'm not. I don't have a fixed risk to reward. Depends on what entry is, how much risk I need. Ghost machine, yeah, I mean, again, you could feel some type of way about price moving like this, where it's moving significantly higher on NQ and be like, man, again, as I've reiterated multiple times, man, I'm missing this. But if it's part of your rules to trade with the in-sync market and trade in the terms of intermarket relationships, then I'm not missing anything. It may seem like to all of you that, man, you're missing out on a huge move, and I just don't view it through that lens. Romer, all right, have a good weekend, my friend. Yeah, we're trading at all-time highs on NQ, so I mean, you tell me where we're gonna go from here. I don't know. Liquidity, yeah, that could be a very well option. I mean, what I've came to the conclusion to with just teaching and live streaming is like I can tell anybody, but they're ultimately going to follow their own rules and instincts, which is not bad. But I'm trying to give the best advice from my personal experience and what I know works best for myself and what protects me the most. And if you can either choose to listen to that and use it, or you don't. So it's a hard thing being a teacher and a mentor, because you can tell people and scream from the rooftops not to do something or to do something, and they just don't do it. And I mean, again, everybody's their own person, and they want to follow what they think is best. Yeah, again, Francis, but standard deviations don't move the market. So they're just, to me, it's some type of goal that price could reach for, but it very well couldn't. It's just a magical line that it's, to me, standard deviations are the same as if I'm placing a trend line. That's the way I view it, to be honest with you. I mean, I could do this, but why would it move to 0.5 negative? There's no liquidity there. There's nothing there. There's no inefficiency there. 0.-1. Why would it move there? Yes, it's a swing of this, but it means nothing. That's my personal view on standard deviations. I personally don't utilize them. I don't think they're that great. If there's a liquidity that's resting here, inefficiency that's resting here, anything inside of that area, then that would, to me, be a better option to use. I mean, yes, we're at all-time high, so I have nothing else to do to reach for, but even then, I mean, who's to say that price is going to move to 0.-5? Who's to say that? That's a pretty good analogy, Will Conway. To me, this is just it's extremely boring. I mean, if I wasn't on live stream, I would already be off. I would probably just do something else with my day. I don't want to put risk behind this. Lucas, sorry, I did see. I mean, I think reasonably 2 to 4%. I think that's a very reasonable monthly gain to look at. I mean, if you look at a $100,000 account, if you look at 2% a month to 4%, I mean, you're making $2,000 to $4,000. That's the reason why you should shoot for a lot of capital. Because on $1 million, 2 to 4%, that's $20,000 to $40,000 a month, and you're doing next to nothing. You don't have to be in here pushing so difficultly, and that's the reason why I'm very patient, because I understand from a investor's mindset, that's all you'd probably want to see out of an analyst, is looking for 2 to 4%, doing very low risk, very minimum engagement. Your drawdown's not large, and you're just making steady, consistent returns. And 2 to 4%, I mean, again, if you're looking at a large account, that's a lot of money. If you only looked at it on a $100 account, yeah, I mean, that's $2 and $4, but if you're able to get that capital, I mean, it's a lot of money, man, and you're not having to do so much. Thank you, Francis, but no, I'm not going to use that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you have to think, like, even if it's just a side income, a hobby, if you have a full-time job and you're able to just make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month from trading, but if you want to turn this into a career, something that supports, a lifestyle, I mean, you got to have enough capital to shoot for a reasonable percentage to support that lifestyle. And again, you have to, I've talked about this before, think about how much capital do you need to be consistently profitable. And if you look at a consistent profitable trader, you're not profitable every single month. And that's why having reserve money in your bank account and things, you're not relying solely on trading, because you could have a couple really good months and you have a bad month. And that bad month, if you're solely relying on money from trading to support your lifestyle, your whatever you're doing, obviously it's going to pressure you to try to make more trades, to do stupid stuff. So to me, if you're going to go full time, you need to have at least year, 2 years of money saved up to where you can go full time and not worry about having a bad week, a bad month, because those times are going to happen. It's normal. I mean, I'm just gonna say that. I feel like a dad. Casper and Golden. I mean, why are you even commenting at each other? Like, it doesn't make any sense, dude. Who cares what anybody else is doing? Like, does that affect your bank account? No. Does telling somebody how much you made affect your bank account? Nope. Yeah, Casper. I mean, dude, who cares? Why are you looking at somebody else? And don't feel the need to even defend yourself, Golden. There's no reason, man. Oh, good. I just I don't want to see any negativity. I mean, there's no point, man. I mean, dude, there's gonna be days where you're on a losing streak and somebody's winning, and then there's gonna be vice versa, man. Like, so that's why I never ever talk shit to anybody else, because I know that everybody has their bad days, everybody has their losing weeks, losing months. So to sit there and try to criticize other people, especially just on a day-to-day basis, is so weird. Because it's like, dude, nobody's perfect. Everybody has losing days, losing weeks, but yet everybody just hides it and only glorifies when they do well. So I try as best I can not to hide any of that because it's the reality of it. Exactly, Golden. I mean, dude, there's so many ways to skin a cat. It's like, somebody could look at your trade and be like, "That's terrible." That's again, once you grow into that, it's the reason why I don't advise going on social media, because there's just once you open yourself up to criticism, to your own model and to your own things, I mean, you can feed into that and think that you need to change when in reality it's a perfectly good model. It's a perfectly good set of rules, and you let outside critics change that. And bro, 4K is like a common salary. Yeah, but I mean, again, you have to look at the difference in the U.S. I mean, 4K is really not that much money in the U.S. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, that's like maybe a month worth of rent and groceries and everything else. This is just wild to me to observe. I mean, it really, really, truly is. To be honest with you, I mean, look at where YM's trading, man. It still hasn't even. It's moving lower while NQ's moving higher. I mean, it's fascinating to me. I mean, I would use the six sister approach to participate in ES, but I don't want to do anything. There's no reason to do so. I mean, if you look at this delivery, there's barely any inefficiencies. It's just slowly climbing higher and grinding. Until these move into sync with each other, I'm not going to be touching it. It's just fascinating to observe, to be honest with you. NQ's just been pressing higher all week. I mean, look at like the daily candles. YM is trading down here. ES is and NQ's higher. Dollar index middle of the range, nothing. And again, it doesn't mean the algorithm's broke. It doesn't mean anything is out of sync or not. It is out of sync, but it's the word I'm looking for. When people see this, they think the algorithm's broken or concepts are broken. It just means that it's going to trade like this for a period of time because it's just artificially manipulated at this current moment, at least to me, and I'm not going to try to push on that. Yeah, I mean, that's the only thing I'd probably be looking at. I mean, basically this whole week off stream, I've just been observing PM session because all these AM sessions have not been fruitful, at least to me. It's not something I want to be a part of. Where does ICT stream? It doesn't stream. Or used to on YouTube. ICT Aiden, yeah, I mean, I would say that I have a few friends that probably are in the same boat as you. I mean, they look up to me and they look up to things I've done, and I'm sure that motivates them. It's a good thing. Rate charter, yeah, I would definitely agree with you. I mean, that's the reason why I'm not heavily trying to push ES right now, because I mean, yes, there's a bearish SMT, and Dow is just moving lower. So it's like, well, which one's really true? Which one is really the true, I guess, asset right now? Is it YM or is it NQ? Because ES is in the middle of it. So to me, ES would be a huge tell to what side's going to unfold. If it starts moving lower, then because one of them is truly the leader in whatever direction it's going to move. I mean, eventually one of these are going to get into sync. If you look at like just the world though, like especially in the US, like does this make any sense that everything's at an all-time high? I mean, to me, if you look around you, none of this really agrees with what is going around in the world. I mean, to me, this is a huge bubble, man. That's what personally what I view. I mean, going into the rest of this year, I mean, we'll see how this whole year plays out, but to me, it seems like an artificial bubble. I mean, we're printing all-time highs in NASDAQ, ES, YM. I mean, look at inflation, look at grocery prices, look at gas, look at housing. I mean, it is at all-time highs, everything. Everything is at all-time highs. I mean, when you start observing, obviously, trading and especially these indexes, you start to look around you and you look at the world and you go, well, where are we really heading? I mean, I'm not going down conspiracy, but I mean, to me, this just doesn't really agree with what's going on in reality. Feather. Only thing I've gathered was from our private group today that ICT mentioned. I mean, I'll just say this short line. Time precedes volume, volume precedes price in that order. Money printing at all-time high, yeah. I mean, money's fake, man. If they can just print this shit out of thin air, I mean, money's not real. It's just like the dollar is such a hyper-inflated asset. I mean, I don't know where this world's gonna go. Interest rates. Okay, I mean, something is bound to happen. The band is getting tighter and tighter on this world, and the economy, especially in the U.S. I mean, things are bound to pop off this year. I believe with the elections. I mean, it's going to be a wild year in general. I mean, the only way to restore a lot of this stuff is to go into a recession, to go into basically a depression, to reset all of this. That's the only way you can do so. There's no other safe, easy way to get things back into order. I mean, it's got to go into complete chaos before you move into order. So, I would put your head on a swivel this year with whatever is happening. I mean, no job is secure. People can fire you. Your company doesn't give a shit about you. I mean, unless you have a very secure position. But then again, I mean, who's to say that? I mean, it's the reason why we go for different ventures of investing and to way to make money is to have different, not all your eggs in one basket. Because I mean, shit could go sideways. You lose your job. I mean, what are you gonna do then? It's the reason why ICT says to obviously have this different sources of income. Because who knows? Even the market could fucking blow up. And I mean, obviously, I don't hope that happens at all. But I mean, things could go really, really south, man. Thank you, Harris. I mean, yeah, if you again, most people don't like when you talk about tinfoil or conspiracy, but it's not conspiracy. Like you have to look at the world around you, especially when you're trading these markets. I mean, you have to be aware of what the hell is going on. Otherwise, you're just putting your head in the dirt, in the sand, and you're just blocking out everything because you don't want to face the music. You don't want to face the reality of things. But I'd rather be aware. I'd rather be exposed to all of this and not be caught off guard when something happens and you're like, oh my goodness, how did this happen? It's like, well, at least I'm aware of it. At least I wasn't caught off guard and you're prepared for it. Like even when COVID happened, when all this stuff happened, man, I was already aware from the market being trading inside of this what was going on. I mean, it, again, if you look at the news, if you look at social media, if you look at everything's trying to program your mind. I didn't fall for any of that shit in 2020. None of it. It's all programming. All these sheep, all these NPC bot people just follow the news. They follow the common train of what everybody else is thinking. And I mean, this all translates to trading. Think about it. Think about the whole retail mindset. I mean, it all comes back to trading in a sense when you look at it. Yeah, well, Conway, I mean, yeah, people call me a conspiracy theorist. I mean, whatever your opinion is, I don't judge people, but I mean, I have to be careful on YouTube with my words, I think. But let's just say I didn't get the, you know what, I didn't fall for any of that shit. I mean, it was fascinating back then, man. I mean, I think people just like forgot about 2020, like it didn't happen. But I mean, think about the control they were trying to put on us. Think about what they're trying to do to you, making you wear masks, making you control. Like it was such a fascinating thing, man. Yeah, Justin. I mean, dude, even like all of us, dude, we anywhere I went, they try to, put a mask on. I never did any of that. I was always a contrarian, man, because I was always critically thinking about all this stuff. But and I give a huge thanks to trading. I mean, trading really opened up my mind to a lot of things. I don't think if I was trading and I was just in school and all that happened, I mean, I probably just would have went with the masses. I would have just fell right into line with everybody else, and I didn't critically think. I didn't use my head. I mean, I'm thankful, man. I'm very thankful for trading. It saved a lot of things outside of, just making money. Yeah, 2020 was 4 years ago. It's crazy. Time goes quick, man. As I get older, this shit just keeps speeding up. Just came back from snowboarding. Man, that sounds nice. If we hit a recession, do you think we'll take out October? I mean, who really knows? um, but yeah, I mean, you have to anticipate that if you look at it, the world and say, all right, well, if things start going haywire and we go into recession or depression, I mean, look at the assets that you're trading. And anytime, I'm never fearful, especially with trading. Like if things go into recession or depression, I mean, it's gonna suck for people around me that I know and watching that happen. But if there's ever chaos, I mean, there's opportunity, man. There's always opportunity, and you have to exploit that. I don't feel guilty by any way doing so, and I think the markets are the best way to do so. Because if think about all these people's 401ks, think about the masses. What are we trading right now? We're trading Nasdaq, ES, YM. All of those, for the most part, are what people are 401ks, Roth IRAs. All those people are putting their money, all of their entire hard-earned savings, saving up for years, 60 years. They're printing these all-time highs. You don't think that they're just doing this to get everybody to think that the economy is good, to think that, oh, my 401k is good. Because that's baseline knowledge, what people know. If they see their 401k that's up, all right, the economy's good, I'm good, and then out of nowhere they get blindsided right towards whatever after the elections, before the elections, things just fall off a cliff. Things go haywire. I mean, again, it's when you start thinking in terms of a retail mindset, because we're smart money mindset, is what are the masses thinking and what are they going to do oppositely to it? Like they're just manipulating these people. Do you think? Yeah, I mean, I don't know for certain. I don't know for a fact, obviously, what's going to happen. But I mean, election year, even in 2020, if you're trading during that, you saw the volatility. You saw like the wild spikes, man. Go back and look at 2020's price action. It was wild. Though to know you would tell me some of these. Yeah, I mean, again, how many people were laughing at my face in 2020, but now who's laughing? You really saw who's like all the people I hung out with in 2020. I mean, they're still my friends, obviously, because all of us believed in the same thing. We all saw the curtain. Not to change the subject or topic. Yeah, I haven't even been looking at the. I mean, Robin's Cup is such a long year thing, and ICT says that it's like people. Again, that's glorified gambling. Like if you go up 140% and then you blow it the next day, I mean, you're not a good trader. That's not good at all. I mean, you're gonna see people go up 2, 3, 4, 500% and then lose it all. It's like that's again, you just got lucky. That's like going to the casino, hitting blackjack, hitting, the roulette table, the slot machine. You get lucky. That doesn't mean you're good. And you have to be aware of that on social media. Be critically thinking because a lot of people they can get lucky for a period of time, and it can make it look like they're good, and then they sell their mentorship to you, and then they're they're actually not good. They got lucky. As we're ending this near this stream, I mean, I'm not going to be touching anything. Again, you shouldn't feel any type of way about this. I don't care. Um, I hope you're able to see a decoupled market and see how I was able to stay out of it. Like I said, I mean, this to me, A+ performance by me. I'm happy about it. What about China now facing a bad economy and owning most of our people? I mean, yeah, China's an interesting subject. Taiwan. Um, I mean, if you look at what's going on in the East, it's crazy. You have Russia and Ukraine at war. You have another war popping off. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised the U.S. gets into a war here shortly. I mean, I don't really know. I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the only other time a war has ever entered into the U.S. mainland was obviously the Civil War. So, I mean, think about that idea. Nobody's ever seen that. People would go absolutely crazy if somehow some other country came to this side of the world and decided to invade us. I mean, people have no idea. People are so privileged on this side of the world. It's crazy. They have no idea about fathom. I'm forgetting the word, but they have no idea about struggles. I mean, even me, I'm not sitting here saying I know about it, but at least I'm aware of the idea that those things can happen. And if you're not prepared for that mentally, I mean, you're gonna break. I mean, some people have grown up in war and they've grown up with not having food and living in poverty, and they understand it. I mean, that's a real reality. I mean, if you're in the U.S., man, I mean, we're so blessed. All right, I stayed. All right, let me do the giveaway. So, are you guys ready for that? Put a 1 in the chat if you're ready. Now I know why you're shadow banned. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna shy away from all this. I'll stay for a moment. All right, let me do this here. Let me pull it up and let me know if you guys can see. You can see who my top chatter is. ICT Aiden. All right, Alright, so let's go to giveaways here. Mods, I gotta make sure I do that. I mean, there's no paid channel member, so I'm gonna take that off. I'm gonna do keyword, and then anti-spam, so you can only do it once. It's not enter me, so please, this happened yesterday. It's not this word. Like, please, please don't enter that. Harris, I mean, I was talking about all of that, and I think it transferred over, and once Elon bought it, I mean, I'm pretty shadow banned on Twitter. I don't get the engagement near as much as what other people do. And I've asked other people, my profile doesn't pop up on their timeline either. So I don't care. Twitter's whatever. The OTE trader, you in here? Yeah, you might get deleted by my bot if you have all caps. Yeah. Let's think of a word in here. Make sure when I do type out this word that you're following the capitalization. There's going to be no capitalization, so make sure you're not putting capital in here, okay? No, you're okay, OTE trader. It's good to see you in here, brother. Whatever you said, you can say it again, just without caps. For some reason, my bot deletes it. All right, you ready? I'm gonna put the word in here in about 5 seconds. All right, the word is gonna be market. Yep. I mean, to be qualified for it, you got to be at least subscribed and like the video. I will verify that. So. And I'll give it a couple minutes. I don't want anybody to miss out on it if you just tuned in or whatever. OTE trader. So once it starts to slow down, I'll give a countdown for it. Channel members get no extra luck. Should I put luck? No. Yeah, I guess if you are a regular, I'll give you a little bit extra luck. I'll give you 2 times the luck. Remember, you can't double entry, so you'll be ineligible if you do so. I'll let this kind of die down for a second. All right, so I'm gonna give it 30 seconds. So make sure you get in here, you put it in. I mean, Zachariah or Zachariah, you're gonna be ineligible. You can't type the word multiple times. Wolf, you can't type the word multiple times. I swear, these giveaways seriously make me realize how much people don't follow directions. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but it's clearly stated. All right, 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Diane Kyle. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name. If you're here, go ahead and type in the chat. Congratulations. If I don't see a message in the next few minutes, then obviously I'll roll it again, per usual. But hopefully they're here. Yeah. All right. If you have Twitter, which I hope you do, if you're not already following me on Twitter, follow me and then tweet under my most recent tweet. That way I can message you and follow you, and that way I can send you all the details. Make sure you have to have an account with Myfundedfutures, so make sure you're registered with them. I'll shoot you all the details. I will put the link to my Twitter in the chat. A little lazy, yeah. Been able to fortunately give away an account every day this week, so I'm happy to give back to all of you. I mean, ones who are deserving, I wish, would get it. I'm not saying any of you aren't deserving of getting it, but hopefully people who do get it utilize it for a very good use. Let me see here. Did you message me? Let's see here. So, Diane, if you can just message and if you can just state if you have Twitter and if you're following me or not, just shoot me a follow and then message underneath it. I'm not going to get off here until I can message you. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today. I think to me it was very productive. To some people, it's not as much, but to me, these type of conditions really create you. Diane, if you can just put in the chat like a 1 if you know I said I had to be verified. Yeah, just tweet underneath my most recent tweet and just say I won the giveaway, and that way I'll follow you and then we can message. All right, Rista, have a good weekend. You said every time we end the stream. Not sure what that means. A little lazy. I think my performance was great. It wasn't a positive week in terms of profit, but in terms of being defensive and protecting myself, I think I did phenomenal. All right. Let me see. Awesome, I see it. So I'll give you a follow and then I'll message you. All right. How'd you do, Wazy? Hope you did well. I saw you caught a YM yesterday, a nice little short. YM was actually a lot cleaner yesterday. But again, it's for me when I have a decoupled market, I'm not trying to push anything. I mean, it's yesterday and today, they're all doing oppositely things. So it's interesting to see play out. Brett, have a good weekend. Have a good weekend, everybody in here who's been supportive. Maddie, Dewan, Wolf, Rage, Ghost of Machine, Inner Circle J. I hope you guys all have a good restful weekend. I'll be back here on Sunday with the weekly forecast. So enjoy your weekend, rest, review your performance this week, see where you could have done better. That's going to be it for today. Peace.